In today's video, we will be making easy, gluten-free, high-protein make-ahead breakfast, egg bites, and breakfast mini meatloafs. If that's something you want to see, then do not adjust your screen. Oh, sorry. So, I'm making a double batch, but I will leave the recipe down below for a single batch. So I have 16 eggs, and 3/4 cup times 2 is 1.5 cups. That's what I was thinking, yeah. 1.5 cups of cottage cheese. I have my oven preheating to 375, and then a little tip I learned from Clean and Delicious, I believe, yes, is I have a metal 9x13 pan, about 3/4 full of water on the bottom rack of my oven, because that will kind of steam your eggs so then they aren't dry. And then I have about a cup of cheese, so 1/2 cup each batch. And then you don't have to grate it, you can just rough chop it, and then season to your preference. I'm using no salt added lemon and herb. I'm putting about 1/2 tablespoon per batch. I choose to do a lower salt or a no salt one just because cottage cheese is a little salty. And putting it in before I blend it so then you don't get hunks of seasoning. Hi, Misty. If you don't have a wand, you can just blend it in a blender, blend it in batches. So once it's blended and you've sufficiently terrified your cats by the noise, then grab your silicone muffin cups, and instead of putting oil up the sides, I did just use a spoon to put a little bit of oil in each, because when you pour the egg in, it'll go up the side. If you put too much oil though, it will kind of make like a little hole and it'll look like you have egg bite donuts. And then you'll have to degrease them. So just be mindful of that. I don't know why I did that, but. And then I'm just gonna pour them in. Alright, so I have all of these about 3/4 of the way full. Some people tell you 2/3. I like 3/4 because it'll puff up and then shrink back down, but then you don't end up with too small of an egg bite. You will have leftover egg mix. You can either pour it into a big ramekin or put it in a container and then add it to your scrambled eggs if you're just gonna have scrambled eggs one day. So these will go in for 20 minutes. Check them then, and then put them in and then if you need to add 5, it just depends on how your oven is. My oven will probably be done in 20, but if you need more, then more. And when these are done, we will move on to the mini meatloafs. All right, so my egg bites are out, and they are not egg donuts. They're perfectly solid. If you do have that issue, just take paper towel and kind of make sure you absorb the extra oil. Now, a little tip is I don't wash the muffin tins in between making the egg bites and making the mini meatloafs, because
they're pre-greased.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to do that. So, in here, I have 1.5 cups of oats and a cup of milk. That seems a lot for meatloaf, but this is breakfast meatloaf, so you want more oats in. And then 1 egg. One of the reasons I came up with this is because neither me or my mom like oatmeal, but oats are good for you. So, and then I'm just forgetting that this one doesn't have the actual paper out of it. This is the Weatherford seasoning. You can use whatever kind of seasoning you want. I'm doing about about 3/4 teaspoon per batch, or less than that. But that one is salted, so if you do want unsalted, then find something unsalted. And then this is a little more than 1 pound of ground pork. Another tip is for in summer, take it out the night before so you can make this as early as possible in the morning. All right, once you've broken up the little bit of frozen bit, mix it. The best way to mix any kind of meatloaf or meatball is with your hands. So almost be like savory oatmeal, except savory oatmeal is to me is disgusting. Even worse than regular oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Alright, I paused while I was mixing because I'm like, that's not a fun sound to hear.
Yeah.
And then, but the oats and the water.
No.
Nope. Water in the bottom of the stove.
Oh yes.
So the oats and milk are kind of like what you do with breadcrumbs, just with oats, which keeps it gluten free. And then the water in the bottom of the oven. Combine with that and your topping, which we'll get to in a minute. Help it stay swampy. We've decided that that's our word instead of moist, is swampy. Because we're thinking of other words that are the same kind of thing. We don't like juicy.
Auntie says, what do you say? Extremely hydrated.
Extremely hydrated.
I like swampy.
Yeah. Shrek connotation, a little bit of Monster in the Swamp, all the good fun stuff. And so after these have baked, they will freeze.
Very well.
Yes, oh yes, this all freezes very well. I flash freeze them and then put them into Ziploc bags for the days. And then the night before, I'll take out the Ziploc bag and put it in the fridge. Then you don't have to microwave it for as long. I'm not entirely sure if this will make the full 24, but it might. If you make a batch and it doesn't, we do 1 meatloaf for 2 eggs. So it's okay if you don't have the same amount of meatloaves as eggs. And I've done the same thing with ground turkey and it works just as great.
Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of this, is you can make up a huge batch.
Yep.
And then there's 3 of us, so
this typically will last about a week and a half, or a week and change. If it's just you, I think what I want to do is I'll take my last little bit and overfill. So 24 minus 6, so 18. 18 comfortably, like mix them nice and filled. Ow. And my cat's petting the lamp, so if you hear a crash, it's the lamp. And then 1 sec, I'm just gonna wash all the little bit of leftover oats and meat off my hand. Alright, so clean hands. In here I have 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of ketchup, about a teaspoon of mustard, and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg.
it's the best meatloaf topper ever.
Exactly. And then you just smear it on top. And it just helps it stay swampy and not dry out and be like, puck of meat in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then these will bake for, I'm gonna do 23 minutes. 25 I feel like is a little long. 23 should be absolutely perfect. And then once they've cooled to room temperature, I will pop them, or close to room temperature, pop them in the freezer to flash freeze.
And how are we going to serve this breakfast, AJ?
Oh, we'll show how we serve it.
Oh.
We'll film it. Yes. So we're not just going to tell you. We're going to film. We will film it because you have this with Greek yogurt and fruit. So then you have a full breakfast, and there's 34 grams of protein. Hi, you don't get to have none. Don't jump up there. She's like, I'm gonna jump up and eat some of that, Mama. She's mad enough I didn't give her any cottage cheese. You got yogurt this morning. You're fine. If you have cats, a little bit of yogurt won't kill them. Well, unless they're like highly lactose intolerant. My cat used to be on a farm, so she fine. She is a butter fiend. We used to always have to cover her butter and especially popcorn.
Anything that looks like dairy. Pancake batter.
Yes. Don't walk away from pancake batter because she's like, snacks.
Megan has that.
You stay there. All right. So, just about done here. I'll go through and just make sure these are all a little bit better covered. Pop them in for 23 minutes. And then you will see us again when we're making this for breakfast on Monday, heating it up. Till then, see you in 2 seconds. Good morning. It's actually like a week and a half later than when I filmed the previous part. But in that time, I learned another little trick. I decided I didn't want to have to make everything in the morning and then bake it. So I made it the night before. You don't have to do that with the eggs. But if you do that with the meatloaf, it kind of has that overnight oats effect and makes your oats more, I don't know what's the word.
They meld better.
Yeah.
They're less oaty.
They're less odious. They just kind of melt right into the meat, so you get the oats and you don't get that little bit of oat texture that I had in my previous meatloaf. So definitely make your breakfast meatloaf the night before.
Unless you like
fridge.
oat bits.
Yeah. Unless you really like oat texture. I don't.
That's why we don't eat oatmeal.
Exactly. That is why breakfast meatloafs were invented, is we don't like oatmeal. So I freeze them all, and then I will take them, put them in a container overnight. Same with your frozen berries. And then in the morning, if you're doing 1 meatloaf and 1 egg bite, do a minute and then 30 seconds. If you're doing a meatloaf and 2 egg bites, a minute, 45 seconds. Don't do it all at once. I always worry about eggs exploding. I don't care how baked they are. I always do 1 minute and then your extra seconds. And then with it, we have the Greek God's honey yogurt. I don't like plain Greek yogurt. And between 1/3 and 1/2 cup with just some thawed berries. And then you have your lovely little easy make-ahead breakfast. 34 grams of protein, nice and cozy and gluten-free, low carb, technically, and tasty. Yeah, another thing I learned though in the week and a half since we filmed is there's a drawer here. We were watching Caroline Winkler and she was talking about
only
how
having
there's
1 drawer in her new kitchen.
And I'm like, we don't even have a drawer. And my mom and my aunt were looking at me, they're like, yeah, we do. Didn't even recognize it because I never use it. I just have frying pans in the cupboard here, but all my drawers are in our movable cart. So you can live a place for over a year and find new things. Little blonde moment, it's fine. Until next time, stay caffeinated, stay cozy.